Good day, everybody. Welcome to this webinar about Aleyant tFLOW. I will be going over what the application is for, what it can do, and then I will also take you through the program and show you where to find the functionalities. My name is Michiel. I am application specialist at Fourbees. You can see my email address at the bottom right if you would have any questions after this webinar, or if you want to reach someone at Fourbees, you can email me. Now, the purpose of tFLOW is to increase productivity by increasing the efficiency of your workflow. The problems these days in production workflows are no longer in the press area. There are no longer much problems in press because presses are really fast nowadays. So nowadays the bottlenecks aren't there. The bottlenecks are actually in the pre-press, in how the files are delivered, in how the files are treated, and in how they get to production. And tFLOW will help you organize that better. It contains a module to organize, well, it contains an organization system for approvals of artwork and of files. I will also show you that. And it is aimed at improving communication overall. Now, increasing productivity, how do you do that? Well, mostly by automation. Automation can make it so that a file that comes in to your company can actually get straight to production without a human ever having to touch it. Of course, these are the cases with simple files and with a properly organized and properly set up workflow. Then I already spoke about the upstream bottlenecks and about how a better communication could improve your productivity. Does this look familiar to anybody? This is how printing companies often still work today. You can see everybody is trying to contact everybody. There are emails, there are telephone calls, there are files being sent to one another. And maybe one of these people is unaware of something that happened somewhere else. Or if someone wants to know what happened somewhere else, they have to call and have to ask someone who might also not be aware of everything going on. So this causes a lot of confusion. This causes a lot of unnecessary communication. This might cause a certain file to be sent that has already been edited by someone else, by which the new file is actually lost because an older file is still being used somewhere else. This causes all kinds of annoyances that in the end cost you time, and because they cost you time, cost you money. So what if we could simplify that, and what if we could make it look more like this? This is what tFLOW would do. It would be a central platform where all the communication can take place, where the files would be, where all versions of the files would be, and where you could actually find out what happened to it and who communicated to who and who made changes. So that would make the workflow, the looking after the file, from file delivery to file output to production, a lot simpler and a lot better organized, a lot more visible and transparent to everybody involved. Now, of course, not everybody has to have the same level of access. But I will show you later that, for example, the production person will not be annoyed by the other 5 people on this diagram who are talking about the artwork, because the production person only wants to have his print-ready PDF file on the right location at the right time without having any problems in it that he has to send it back to prepress for. While on the other side, the artwork person doesn't need to know when the file was sent off to production. He just needs to have access to the file to deliver his file and to maybe see what people want to have edited in the file. And we will see how to set that up. Everybody will have their own user, their own permissions, and their own roles in the application. So they only see what they have to see, and they will be able to see that easily and immediately with a system that keeps them up to date on what's going on. Now, the key points in the system would be the file reception. File reception is improved because you can improve various file formats, you can use various ways of getting a file. You could input files manually, you could use APIs to input files from different locations, you can use your MIS system, you can use XML data to get your files. So there's a lot of ways to get files into the system, amongst which several automated ways to do that. For example, I just noticed that the Presero logo is still on the bottom right of my slide. That would be one of the ways to connect. You could connect your tFLOW and your Presero, and the files could come straight from Presero into your tFLOW. So that would be a way of automating your file delivery system. Now, you can see automated pre-flighting and proofing on this slide. This I will also go into more detail about in a minute, but you can the file that gets inputted will automatically get a pre-flighting profile executed on it. So it will be ready for print, and it doesn't even need to have a human interacting with it. And you will also see a proofing page generated automatically by tFLOW to show you the proof of your file. Then the collaboration is obvious. It allows people to collaborate on a certain project without losing any communication anywhere. And automated prepress, which is kind of in the automatic pre-flighting, but it also goes further than that. You can process your file in more complicated ways. For example, if you have a banner, you have the possibility to automate the addition of grommets to your file as well. Of course, there are more things, but these are the main things that I will also show you later. Now, file reception would be one of the things. You can see I made this slide with a part of tFLOW, if you know tFLOW. This is how easy it is. Basically, drag and drop your file onto the program, and it will get uploaded for everybody to use, or for the people with the right permissions to use. And you can see in gray on the bottom, click on Support Files button in the right sidebar to our additional files, because this inputs will accept image files and PDFs, but they won't accept much else, because most other file types aren't useful for production. So there is the possibility to add, for example, the design files in Design Illustrator, or text files, or whatever else you want to share within the project. You can add that to the shared files. Pre-flighting and proofing. Now, I told you I was going to come back to this. tFLOW actually uses Color's PDF Toolbox under the hood. So if you're not familiar with Colors, this is the same pre-flighting engine used in Adobe Acrobat. So you might be aware of that. It also uses the same pre-flighting profiles. So you could use the same profile, pre-flight profile you use in Acrobat in tFLOW. Or if you are familiar with PDF Toolbox and you know what PDF Toolbox can do, you can use your profiles from PDF Toolbox straight in tFLOW. The same, you have the possibility to add several different profiles. You can add a profile for your proof settings, you can add a profile for your pre-flight settings, and you can add finishing profiles. So the automated pre-press that I talked about earlier with the grommets, that would be a finishing profile, but it is in fact also a PDF Toolbox profile, because you will find the ability to add grommets in PDF Toolbox as well. And the pre-flight profiles are exactly what you would expect them to be if you're familiar with Acrobat or Toolbox. Then the collaboration platform. This is what the production view of a file looks like. Of course, you will see me do this in a demonstration as well. You can see the production view of the file on the left. Let's see if I can get my mouse to appear. You can see over here, if my pointer is visible, one of the grommets. You can see there are grommets in this file because this is a banner and I used the finishing profile to add grommets. And you can see this blue box around the logo. This box is linked with this comments in the messaging over here. You can see this is the old logo, please update. This references this box, and the person responsible for this part will automatically get an email that says, hey, you got a new message, you have to change the logo. They can change the logo, and then you will see this is revision 1 of 1. It would become revision 1 of 2 of 2 or 1 of 2 if you add a new file with the updated logo. And you can see the person is replying, will do, to change the logo. Then I will go over the rest of the page in the demonstration in a minute. Integration is a big deal because we're talking about automation here. And automation is good if you have one part of your workflow automated. That's nice. But what if you have multiple parts of your system automated? That would make your entire workflow faster and usually more accurate, because people might not like it much, but computers are often more accurate than humans. You can see all the things that tFLOW can do for you. You have asset management, proofing, color management, file fixing, pre-press automation, collaboration, pre-flighting, checking of files, project management. And then you see you have the other Aleyant products in here. You have Presero on the top left in blue, which is their B2C, B2B storefront platform, with which you can make an online web shop specifically. It's an MIS system specifically made for the printing industry. So it contains a lot of features that are interesting for the printing industry, and that will make making an online shop for your print shop more interesting, more efficient than it would be with another make your own website system. And it connects straight into tFLOW, so all the information from the customer that the customer inputted in the web shop would go straight through to your tFLOW and will be able to be used there as well. And we have Print Job Manager on the left, which is an MIS system, also a resource management system that can even do the estimating for you, which is another Aleyant product. If you are interested in Presero, we did a webinar the day before yesterday about Presero, and this recording of that webinar will be available on YouTube. You can check it out there. We'll probably add a link to this video. The recording for this webinar, of course, will also be on YouTube. So if you want to rewatch anything, you can do it there. Okay, that's it for the presentation. I will move on to the demonstration now. You can see on this slide on the bottom left, there is the support@4piece.com email address. If you have any questions, problems about Aleyant tFLOW, about Aleyant Presero, about any other 4piece products, feel free to email us at support@4piece.com. That is the quickest way to get access to support and get your questions answered, or reach the right person if support has to forward you to someone else. You can see on the right still my own personal details. If you want to message me directly, that's possible as well. Now let's go to tFLOW. This is what tFLOW looks like for an admin or for a user. This is the dashboard. I'll start by saying something important as well. You can see this, the tFLOW Enterprise logo on the top left. There are other logos involved in the application. Most of this is editable, so you can make this look to your like your own style. You can make your own logos, your own colors, so that the people using it will see this as your system and not a system you are using, which is nice. Something else that's interesting is that tFLOW is an online system, of course, so you will need hosting. One thing you could do is you could set up your own hosting service. You could use a hosting service of your choosing to install tFLOW upon, or you could host it, let it be hosted by Tucanas or by Aleyant themselves, which is also possible. So they would do the hosting and you would be able to access it. If you don't want to have the trouble of setting up your own hosting system. The preferred operating system for hosting is Windows Server. That's where the most instances are running. But it would be potentially possible to use a Linux-based system as well. Right now, most systems are running on Windows Server, but most hosting services are also running on Windows Server, so that's not really a problem. Okay, so here we are at the dashboard. The dashboard is a customizable space which you can add all the information that you want to see when you log into your system. So you can see on the left, I like to have my jobs waiting for artwork, waiting approval, and jobs with problems. You can see over here, I have all the jobs I did this year, so they're not that many, but I'm not a print job, so that's okay. And the activity, things that happened. Now, here is the add widget button. You can see several things you can add. For example, if you want to see activity, that's this one basically, you can add the activity widget, you can click on the settings. If you want it to be more than 30 days, you can make this 90 days, and then you will have a curve for 3 months. You can see this is the user. You can change the name to 3 months. And you can even filter by company if you have multiple companies working with your system. The system of users and companies, you can see here by company, by user, I will explain in a minute as well. So you could filter by company if you have, for example, multiple companies running on your tFLOW. If I say save config, you will see this is edited to activity 3 months, and the curve is a bit different than the one I had there for 30 days. You can delete them as well, of course, and you can just like drag them around if you want the look to be different. So that is that easy, really is that easy. And it remembers how you left it, so it will look like the last time you touched it when you come back to it later. So that is the dashboard. It is where you will see what's going on in one look of the system. Now, we have on the left is the menu. We have orders and we have jobs. Now, orders is where your stuff will come in. One order can contain multiple jobs. For example, if you have a book that needs printing, you can have an order called book, and you can have 2 jobs. One of them will be the cover and one of them will be the book block. So you would have those 2 files in there. Can I just ask, can everybody still hear me? I just saw a network connection thing going on. I will assume that's a yes. Okay, so you have orders, and every order can, thank you for replying to that. You have orders, and every order can contain multiple jobs that contain multiple files needed for a certain order. Let's make a new order. Add order on the bottom left, and you will see the window you also saw in my presentation earlier. So you have order settings. You can choose the company that is involved in this order. So you can see my list of companies right now. 4Ps is the selected company. You can create your order name, but you can see this says, if left blank, the order name will be created automatically. There are settings, I will show you later, where you can decide how the name is made. You can see in my order list on the background here, it says FP order and a number, 4Ps order and a number. This is basically the automatic generation. Now you could add the planned number of jobs. You could, the creation date is obviously today. You can see I can't edit that. You can edit the ship date. That would be, let's say, next week. And you can add the description, a splitting scheme for your files. Now, if we say, for example, with a splitting scheme, 1 job per page, and a multi-page PDF document is entered into the order later, it will automatically turn into multiple jobs, which could be interesting if, like, a certain designer sends in a flyer and a business card, for example, in the same the house style, and they send it in one PDF. You don't want those to be printed on the same paper, so you will have the flyer as a separate job and the business card as a separate job in the system immediately. You have different variations of that. The customer users can be selected, and then you have the representative for the customer and the project manager for this project that you can edit input here as well. Now, if we go on, we have advanced settings. We can choose the type of workflow that we want to use. We want to have an approval, so we're going to pick one-step approval. You can choose what kind of products this is going to be. This is going to be a banner, because that's the example that I want to give you right now. You can see the 4-piece users that are involved in this. All these users selected here will get an email when this goes through, and all the information about this will be seen. So you will see we will spam some people during this demonstration, and you can select production queues if you have them. These have to do with the tBot module. If you have, like, this is the production area. So tFLOW Enterprise is where the project management takes place. If you're done with it, you can automatically send your file to production using a system called tBot, and the tBot runs on Windows on a production system, and the files will be the finished files after pre-press, after pre-flighting, will be sent to that production folder. It can basically be seen as a hot folder or a file transfer protocol system, so an FTP server. It will go straight there if you wanted to. Then these 3 are profiles. So the proof settings, this is basically the PDF toolbox or the pre-flight profile that you use for your proof system. So this is the proof profile that is used now. Let's leave it on that. You can add names if you want to, but they will also be added by the system automatically, so you won't have to do a lot of manual stuff. Then you have the pre-flight setting, which is a different profile, which is a profile that looks at, for example, the color space of the delivered file, the existence of bleed maybe, if the text is in outlines or not, whatever you put in your normal pre-flight profile. So this could be a normal PDF X1A profile that changes the file to be compliant with PDF X1A. It depends on what you want. Sure. Apparently these settings are already in the pre-flight profile, so we'll just let that be there. And then finishing settings is another PDF toolbox profile that could use maybe add content or something. For this banner, it's a banner, so we'll use the banner profile. This will add the grommets to the file after processing. You can see here the grommets templates, images grommets.pdf, and you can see how many grommets we want vertically and horizontally, how far from the trim box we want them. These are all the variable settings that you would also have to add in PDF Toolbox if you were to use the grommets tool there. So this is variable. This is interesting because it increases automation. Again, you don't have to make a profile for every single setting, though you can if you want to. You can just, like, I don't like it having 6 grommets, I want it to have 4, well, change it and you're okay. I'll say save, and the new order will be created and automatically opened. There we are, 4-piece order 000187. And this is also the frame we saw in the slides earlier. Now you can see I can either click on it to get the browse window and add a file like that, or I could drag and drop a file in here to make it look more like the way you will use it. See, I have a banner, banner.pdf. I just drop it on here. It's getting uploaded on the bottom right. It says processing will take a while. That's normal because right now it is already going through pre-flighting. So I can open it. You see, oh, the proof is not available yet because the file is still processing. It is going through pre-flighting. Now the job view, because this is the job view, we're looking at the job now, has two ways to see it. You have the proof view over here, or you have the production view. Now, if you go to production, we will actually see the file, or the current status of the file. It's a pretty big file, but it's a banner, so it might take a second to load. There we are. Oh, it already went through the process. It already went through the pre-flighting as well. Now, actually want to show you this as well. As soon as a file gets entered into the system and an order gets created, because I am an admin, I will get an email from tFLOW. And the email will say, hello, user, this order has been created. Do you want to go to the order? Now, as soon as a file is uploaded, because I am also interested in that, you will get another email. There we are. That says, the job is on hold. It's on hold. That means probably something went wrong in the pre-flight. So there is a problem that needs manual editing to fix. And it has the button go to job. Oh, there we have the pre-flight report at the bottom. This banner doesn't have the correct size because, as you saw earlier, the expected input size was 200 millimeter by 46 millimeter, which is ridiculously small. And it's obviously that wasn't the correct size for a banner. There are some warnings as well. What comes into the warnings, what comes into the errors is defined by the pre-flight profile. So if you don't want to see these warnings and they're not in your profile, you will not see them. If you want to see different things, you will. Anything that is considered an error will put the job on hold. So you will always, the persons who need to see the emails will get the emails. The thing is, with tFLOW, if I'm giving a demonstration, I have to be a bit of a schizophrenic. I have to be two people at once. So the person who uploaded the file is the art person, right? Because the person uploads his documents to get processed. Now the person who gets the email, something is wrong, is probably also the pre-flight person because he's like, oh, what happened? And he gets the pre-flight report. The art person will probably not have a lot of use for most of the things that come out of the actual pre-flighting. So what will happen here is the pre-press person will be able to send messages to the necessary people, and they will say, oh, something went wrong. Can you give me a new file? So you can see this has the big button, view pre-flight errors as well, pre-flight messages, errors, warnings, things that were automatically fixed in the pre-flighting, which is also interesting. That stuff is fixed automatically, but that's what the pre-flight profile in PDF Toolbox would do. And some info. Oh, apparently there is a spot color in there. That is probably the grommet line. And you can get a PDF report for that as well. Now, this isn't going to work because the pre-flight profile we used isn't interesting for it. So we need to find out how do we change the order to use the right pre-flight profile. Order settings, there we go. We should be able to look at the profiles here as well, edit order. Now, the pre-flight profile here that was used was obviously wrong. So we will have to get a better one without the size issues. So we want the banner. Did I use that profile earlier? There we go, I used this profile. So you can see that these settings messed it up and made it wrong. Now, if I use this one, this will create the new order. This time I will click it actually. So we'll go to demo files, banner, there we go. Uploading again, the messages window is still open. I got a new email that says, hey, there is a new order that you might want to take a look at. And this time it will go to the approval workflow. So we have the job inside the order, who is not available yet, of course not, because it's still processing, loading the artwork. So this is the artwork, how it normally looks like. I did not check if the finishing profiles were there, so it might not actually do the grommets this time. It's still processing. So let's say that the logo is wrong, the way we saw in the presentation. I would be able to say, oh, look at that, there it goes. You see, now there are no pre-flag errors. This is something else though, it made everything blue. So that's another thing that, that happened in the profile. So you could add your comment, you could say, oh, I don't like the color. And then you could say, let's put that somewhere. There are different ways to do this. You could just like put it on top in text. You could make a box and say, what's up with this? You could make a box with the comment in it. You could make a circle if you don't like it, squares, or you could put like a little thing on there. This looks a bit like how it would look in Acrobat when you add comments to PDF files. So now if I press send, this message is added to this file. We'll see notification, and all the necessary people will also get this message. Then I can approve or reject. If I reject, it'll just give me an email, file was rejected, we want to see a revision. If I approve, you will see this. This is a message you can write yourself, because this can be legally binding if you have a system where the customer can deposit files and it's an automated system. Then the customer has to make sure that what they deliver is correct, because otherwise you can have some problems after print that the customer says, oh, this isn't what I ordered at all. So this could be legally binding. Let's say, yes, I want to confirm the job state. Oh, the job is approved, and you can send it to production. If I click that, that is basically, you can select the production queue and it goes to tBot. So once again, I got an email that says, oh, thank you, your job is done. Now on the right, we have messaging. We've already been through messaging. We have artwork information, which contains the information about the file. You can see it was created by InDesign. It has a cut color, it has a cut contour, which is the spot color we saw earlier in the pre-press report, and the document and the box sizes are here as well. Then we have the job settings, which is all the things that were entered by the MIS system or manually, depending on what you ordered in the job. We have the advanced information, then we have activity. Now in activity, you can see what I did. So I created the job, I uploaded artwork, the job was waiting for approval. I said, I don't like the color, but I approved it anyway. So the job is approved. You can also see everybody else that does things, of course, so it's not just you. If I say I don't like the color, somebody else could be here in between and upload a new file with the right color. Now you can filter that a bit depending on what you want to see in your activity window. Then support files. I mentioned that in the presentation. You can add different files because this is for your artwork. If you want to add information, if you want to add the InDesign file or whatever, you can add files here. Like add file, and this will use any file format you want. And then we have products, which contains the profiles that I was looking for earlier, and I didn't click on that. So if I want, instead of finishing a banner, I want to have grommets or rounded cutting path or whatever, I can do that here as well. And then we have jobs, which contains all the jobs within the order. Now, if we go to job, we will simply see all the jobs that were ever entered into the system and the status of those jobs. You can sort them here by different things and on upwards or downwards, depending on the job number or name or description or creation date or any of these things. And you can use filters as well if you like to sort more aggressively. You can see certain information. Right now we only see the ship date and the description on the left here. We can add, for example, the company, and then that will also become visible. There we go. Now it also contains company 4Ps. You can see what if you might want to see it in blocks. I probably won't like that. Let's put it back in list, and you can search. So that's how the jobs are more efficient. You can see this still has the notification in there. Oh, look at that. Tom wanted a change in color in a file as well. So I could say how I did that. It's because I have a certain, see, I had the job selected and the color wasn't good on that job either. Now, if we have reports, you can actually download the user activity report that contains all the information of what happens on your file within a certain time and whatever. And we have a global history, which is just like the activity of the file, but of all the files ever. So it's what would be in the report as well. So you can see I did some shit today. I'm sorry, I did some stuff today. Tom did some stuff today. People did stuff. And then we have global search, and you can search everything. Now we'll go back to the more impressive stuff, because all of this made a bit of sense. We'll go to the settings. Now, settings are based upon companies, roles, and users. So companies, for me, would be 4Ps. 4Ps is the company that I'm currently logged into. Every company you define here has their own logo, has their own personalization. So you see over here, page logo, email logo, and login logo are all tFLOW Enterprise. That is why you can see on the top left tFLOW Enterprise, and why my emails has tFLOW Enterprise. Now, if you want, you see this logo is the logo you see over here with the company. If you want to make your site look more like your site, you can put your own logos in there, because that will make it look like your company. Company name, the default view of a job, the proof view or the production view. This is why it always opened up in proof before I could change it to production. And the default queues for production if you want stuff to go automatically to production instead of going through, you have to select it. And these are all the users that are currently in the 4-piece company. Now, then you have the roles. You can make different roles with different permissions, because like I said in the beginning, in the collaboration front, we don't need the press operator to play with the artwork. We don't want the artwork creator to play with the pre-press settings. So we give members permissions. So this member is called Tom Creative, which is the creative person. So who is in that group? Oh, look, in that role, well, David van Driessen is in the creative's role. And then we have permissions for this creative person. You can see the creative person is not allowed to admin jobs, but he is allowed to manage the job parameters. He is allowed to manage and read comments, but he's not allowed to admin the clients. You can see he's allowed to download the PDF report production file, low-res file, original artwork. You could also, if you don't want him to download the original artwork, you can uncheck that, but since he's a creative person, it's probably his file. So you can set permissions depending on what you want certain people to see. And there are some presets for that. So that's what the roles do. And then we have the users, and this is just like, hi, this is me. So in the users window, you see the information for the created user accounts. So you can see this is me, this is my role. You can see my default view is proof. We have notifications. Then we have the assigned companies. I'm assigned to all the companies are assigned to me. And then we have the email alerts. Now you can see I get audit alerts for every created job. Now this is because we want people to be real-time informed about stuff. You want people to be informed when new jobs are created. You want people to be informed when they have to do something at the time they have to do something. If you're an admin, you might not want to be constantly filled with every email that ever comes into your tFLOW system. You might want to go for a status report. So a status report is sent whenever you want it to be and will contain a digest of everything that happened. So you could say you want the status report to be sent every 24 hours, so every day, and we want them not to be sent in the weekends. So we want them to be sent Monday through Friday, every 24 hours. And you could set, turn off notifications. If you're on vacation, you don't want to get all these emails, you can turn them off for the period that you're on vacation. We can change the amount of content in the report and what we want in that report. So we can basically adjust everything we want to see or do not want to see about our messages and what we want to be in those messages, in the users. So that's interesting. I think that's interesting because I don't like too much spam mail, but I like to know what I have to know. So that's where the users come in. Then we have products. The products are basically presets for certain things. So if I go to banner fixed sizes, you will see that the banner, if I choose the product name banner fixed sizes in the product window when making a job, then it will automatically be set to these 3 profiles and this information. So if you have a certain amount of products on your web shop, or your print shop does a certain amount of products like business cards, flyers, posters, books, brochures, all that kind of stuff, you can create those products here and you can set them as basic products. That will also link with, for example, your Presero web shop if you want. And if you order business cards on the web shop and they go into tFLOW, they will be using the business cards product here, which means all the settings will be correct, which will increase ease of use. Automation assets is where the pre-flight profiles come in. So you can see the automation scripts is basically another name for pre-flight profiles. So if we go to pre-flight, there we go. These are all the pre-flight profiles, the KFPX files that are in my system right now. Another thing, for example, is the grommets. This contains the files needed for the grommets. So these are the PDF files that define the grommets use. So if you have a finishing script, a finishing profile that uses a certain PDF file as an overlay for a grommet, then you will have to add that file in there so it can find it. So that's how these automation assets work. And then we have the all-over system settings, which is the global settings for your entire tFLOW. So we have the instance company is 4-piece, titles, the email subject prefix, time zones, dimensions. I think this is a bit small in this case, I believe, because we use it mainly for large format, which is where tFLOW was originally created, for large format. The disclaimer text, as I said, you can edit that. And you can give it a different background color, because the red was, of course, to make sure we see it. You can add text to your login screen about the end user license agreement. Then here are the mail settings. This is of course important because we're sending out a lot of emails to a lot of people. So we're using the, you have to add your email settings to make sure that everything works. You can see these are some basic definitions of stuff that is sent out. For example, if an anonymous user puts in a file, we'll see your files have been received and being checked. We will be in touch soon if the file comes in correctly. Then we have the workflow, like how you want the product to act. Like the ship date default could be automatically a week instead of that I have to set it for 1 week. How to generate job names, the prefix, like you saw my 4-piece order 00187 was created here. Then we have archiving of jobs, and other settings like name templates for renaming are here. So these are all the settings that make tFLOW what it is. Basically, automation and ease of use is caused by using these settings correctly. Otherwise, you're just using a Dropbox. Now, let's go over one more file. Let's use this one. This order, we will just add a job to the existing order to prevent another email being sent out for a new job. But I want to show you once again how this works and how easy it is. Let's put the ship date on a week. Let's go through the settings. Will it be a CMYK product? Yes, we want the approval workflow. Let's go to proof settings. We will not be making a banner, but the proof settings are okay. Yes, let's use that proof. The client name is 4-piece. We can add descriptions if you want them to be there, or change the order name. Go to pre-flight settings. It is not a banner. Let's make a brochure. So we have all our profiles in here, and I believe we'll find a brochure in here somewhere, or we can choose one that makes sense for brochure. Maybe if we just choose this one. You can see the settings are different now because this profile has a lot of information that can be added in there. The measurement unit is changed to inches. Sure, why not? Maybe I should put that back in centimeter or something. Millimeter. We can check the document size. We can scale it, but we won't do that because we don't want to scale it. We can check the resolution, yes or no, within the profile and add the minimum resolution. Let's not check too much of these on because we might have issues there. I mean, if the file gets declined, then we're losing time. We can check these settings, and then finishing settings. This is not a banner, this is a brochure, and I would like to get this through imposition. So let's do an imposition, because that is also possible. We have, if you create an imposition script with PDF Toolbox, which is possible. I keep saying PDF Toolbox. If you're interested in Kala's PDF Toolbox, we have a lot of webinar recordings and stuff on the YouTube channel as well. You can just search for 4-piece on YouTube, and you will find all our videos, including the PDF Toolbox ones. Let's create the job. There we go. You can see there is nothing in here yet. Waiting for artwork is the current status. So we will go in there and we will add an artwork for a brochure. There we go, brochure.pdf. This is an 8-page document, which is of course what we want if we want to be able to impose it. Each pages take a little bit longer to process than a 1-page document. There we are, it's already saying the proof is not available, so we will go to the production view. You can see at the top the file is still being processed. So right now production view looks like this. We have the 8 separate pages, but the file is still going through the 2 pre-flight profiles I set. The one will change it to what was it? What did I choose? Basically a FOCA 39 profile, and the second will be the finishing profile. And the finishing profile will impose it. So as soon as the imposition is done, and you can see the processing is still going on, the production view will actually change and show the imposed file. Processing. Maybe I can already, no, not yet. So we're also nearing the end of the webinar. It's already 4:55. If you have any questions about tFLOW, about how this works, or anything you saw right now that isn't completely clear, you're free to ask them now. GoToWebinar has a chat and a questions functionality. Maybe use the questions functionality and you can ask your questions and I will try to answer them now. Of course, if you want to be able to rewatch the webinar on YouTube first, ask questions later, you're very welcome to email me or support@4piece.com later, and we will, of course, also reply to your questions. So this is the proof view. You see it's a one page per proof page. You can see the information again around it. I'm not sure if I showed that before. So you can see the proof page with all the information about the file. You can see the preview of the file here. And this will be one page per page of the brochure. Now, if I go to production view, we will see the imposed file. So now we have two pages that both contain 4 pages, 2 sheets, and the imposition has been done. You can see the cut marks on there, the folding lines on there. So you can you have your imposed file automatically. I didn't even touch that file. The file went in there. It's already been pre-flighted for the standards settings and imposed to the imposition file. So I'm like, yes, this is perfect. Let's press approve. Okay, and we can send it to production if you want to. So that is tFLOW from start to finish. If we go back to the dashboard, we'll see that some stuff will have changed. There was one more job on hold because the first one we entered was in error. You can see these curves are going higher than they ever gone before because the amount of files we've been putting through. This will probably have changed a bit as well. So the dashboard is updated. You can see on the top here, I also have my notifications. If you don't want to receive all the emails, but you have your tFLOW open anyway, you might be okay with just the notifications rather than an email every 5 seconds. So you can see there are new revisions for a number of files. There are 2 new comments to the files. This is the old logo of it, and I don't like the color. You can see some of the jobs are queued for production because these 4 have been approved, and they are now able to be sent to production. And we have new things that happens. This one is waiting for revision. This is sent to production. This is on hold. So you can have all the notifications, and you can clear the selected or clear all the notifications from every window separately. And then you're back to 0. Okay, so I'll ask again. Any questions about this program? Anything that I wasn't clear upon? Feel free to ask your questions. No? Okay. That makes me happy and confused. Thank you for attending this webinar. This was Aleyant's tFLOW. And you will be able to see this. You will get an email with a link. Oh, there we have a question actually. Sorry, Boguslav, I cannot give you an example of that right now. That is a little bit complicated. But I'm sure we can come back to that in a private call later. Boguslav asked for examples of integrations with MIS systems, but like the webinar is actually coming to an end, so that's a bit of a complicated one. We will definitely come back to that later. Okay, thank you for attending, and we hope to see you again in the future in another webinar. One more question before I shut this down. Is there a way to conduct a proofing process with a customer? Like I said, I had to be 2 people at once, so this was a bit weird to show as an example. But I stayed in my own user, but technically I was 2 users. The moment the job is uploaded and the moment that you saw the proof view would be seen by the customer. They would be able to add their comments and send it back to us for print. That is why you had the big window that said, are you sure? Because they have to be sure that they want that specific file to be printed. Okay, everybody, have a good day and goodbye.